get to the stage of creating it.
Okay, guys. We're live here. We have, is it Jana?
Jana.
Jana from
Jana.
Finland. We've got Mike Ritt in the office right across from me, and we've got Wade up in British Columbia. Correct?
Yes, and it's actually sunny here.
Is it?
Shock.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, well.
Shock.
It's sunny here, it's just not warm.
So we've got a Fitness for Golf hangout. Glad you guys could all join us, and this is kind of new for all of us. We're finding our way. These other two guys have figured out how to put their name and everything on the screen. Jay hasn't gotten us figured out that way, so we'll get there sooner or later, right? But I'm Mike Ritt with Fitness for Golf, and if any of you are on the newsletter, then you know I write generally the feature column. And this week, Wade was kind enough to be our guest celebrity for the Golf Tips Right Now section. So, Wade, tell us just a minute about what you're up to and what you're doing, and we can talk a little bit about your article.
Okay, we'll have a little conversation. Well, my background is on peak performance development and working with people who choose to experience a high level of excellence in whatever it is they do. I happen to take all my skills and channel them into my own golf game to teach myself how to golf. So through my own strategies, I actually created an ability to accelerate learning, and I thought, geez, maybe some other people might be interested in hearing about this. And through conversations and working with others, it led to, it's just sort of organically involved where people go, you should teach this. Why don't you package this into a product? And so it evolved into what it is today. I'm really condensing my life story in about 45 seconds, but it's became Whole Mind Golf, which is understanding how people use their mind in a most effective way to create the outcomes they're after. Because generally speaking, when we golf, we really don't know what our mind's doing. We're hope that that things are on track, but really it spawned me to create a whole pile of new processes that I've tested and worked with all different levels of golfers to create a more conducive game, a game that matches what they know they're capable of when they're not under stress. So that's what led to sort of our conversations, Jay and Mike, used together and having conversations of what articles might be useful for your newsletter, and it sort of evolved to this moment where we're doing this using high tech to communicate with the planet, which is kind of fun.
Yeah,
it has its quirks, but it's fun, and so yeah, I'm just looking forward to having a conversation in whatever direction it goes. We can discuss. I mean, that article was pretty stimulating. If you want me to continue, I will. Just let me know.
No, let's hear from our other guest, Jana. Tell us what your background is and what you're up to.
Well, do you mean golf-wise or
Yeah.
otherwise?
Yeah, well, either one.
Hi.
We're just hanging out here, so whatever.
Okay. I started golf 1989 in Thailand. I was living there at the time, and I traveled to Hong Kong, and I went to the Stanley Market, and I saw some really, really cheap golf clubs and stuff, and of course they were, fakes and things. But I didn't know anything at the time, and I have always been interested in all kinds of competitive sports, and so I bought myself whatever golf set for the ladies, and then I bought a book by Colin Lamb of how to play golf. And then I went to Pattaya Asia Hotel's par 3 course, which is really, really small. I laid the book on the green, on the grass, and I started to learn how to play golf.
So since we got Wade,
now I'm handicap 12.
Wonderful, congratulations. Well, we've got Wade here, so
I tried 250 meters.
Wow.
And I gave up ladies' clubs after the first year. So actually, I'm playing with stiff shafts, men's clubs at the moment.
Good for you.
Oh, that's great.
I've got all kinds of questions for.
If you look behind me, there is a part of my golf trophy collection there.
Well, good for you.
Just a tiny part.
That's very nice. So, Wade, I read your article, and the bottom line is in yesterday's edition that you we all have bad moments on the course, and the thing we got to do is just kind of suck it up, is what you told us, and that you just got to live with it and move on. Is that the message you want to convey?
Yeah, and I love the simplicity of that. Isn't that just so direct? That took decades of understanding too.
Just live with it. Oh no,
I was
I
like,
can't.
I mean, you can tell the schooling that went behind that. Huh? But it's true though. You know, sometimes that's what I found so captivating about that tournament. It was beyond comprehension. It was beyond. What can you say about it? I mean, it's just so real. It's just a guy who has everything on his plate, you know, with a kid, and he's got to get his card, and he's so open and vulnerable about the reality, which is so rare. I found it refreshing because it was more revealing into the reality of the tour, I think, than most people admit. A lot of people just cave in internally, and they're quiet about their desperation. You don't see it. It's like a duck, right? His legs are going crazy under the surface, but they're, you know, but it was refreshing. Not that I would want that on anyone. I wouldn't wish that experience on anyone, of course, but it taught me so much just watching a guy reveal, like, his guts are all over the golf course and he's just dealing with it. And ironically, and this is the thing, this is really the point that I can't get into in an article, and that is how he was able to play at a higher level than he did the rest of the week when his condition was the worst. Now, how is that? Why is that? Why does that happen? Well, there's numerous reasons, but I would probably just ask you and whoever's listening a question. When you're playing, have you ever played with a headache, or some people who drink, a hangover, and for some reason you're playing better and you don't even really know why, or you're sick? You're not even feeling good physically. What happens is your attention is not on your game. It's on your body. And for him, he mentioned it many times. He goes, well, I wasn't really thinking about my game. I just wanted to get through the round without passing out. You know, it was literally, that was his criteria. If I'm standing and I'm upright at the end. So the point of that is it shows what the mind will do when our conscious mind is not analyzing our game.
Now, so for those folks at home, we're not saying you should hit the various drinking establishments on the course you should go. That's not. No. Though some people I know do play better.
But the reality for some people, the 19 holes on the first tee. But,
exactly. That's right. They'd probably make a putt a lot better if they had a shot or two than they would if they.
Although we're joking, but look how true that is.
That's
how many
exactly
people
right.
all of us know, and those listening, who play better when they're drinking.
Yeah.
I can tell you that when I was a kid and I wanted to play pool with my dad, I'd have to get him early, because if he's going to have a couple drinks, I was done. I mean, and I knew so. But the irony is that the point of this, although we're being humorous about it, is your mind will release your inhibitions, and that's really what people are trying to do with, you know, mind-altering substances. But you can do it without that. You can create the same state internally when you understand some basic processes that allow you to go there as a habit. You know, that alcohol might trigger it, or sickness, or panic attack. For some people, whatever will help them let their brain shut down lets them perform better. For most athletes at a high level, their brain is what gets in the way. It's not their performance.
Can you give us a technique or a trick or something that an average golfer can maybe use to get an idea of what you're talking about here?
Well, because I'm a holistic guy, in other words, I would give something that would be a little more pervasive, meaning the idea of a tip, they're great, but when you're talking about the mind and the being and who you are, it requires a little more transformation, which means there's some processes you want to do as a habit. Like when you wake up in the morning and go to bed, I would recommend you do mental imagery exercises and visualize yourself in stressful scenarios when you're at your best. So in other words, if I want to go into a job interview and it's really important to me, I'm not going to want to rehearse stress or rehearse failure, which is what people do. That's what they naturally do. Without being analyzed, 90% of people will go inside when there's a big moment they have to deal with, whether it's a golf tournament, asking someone on a date, job interview. Their rehearsal, well, I call it a pre-rehearsal because they're previewing what a future event might be. They'll actually project the downside of the act. They'll actually foresee the negative consequence. as opposed to the positive consequence, which is, man, I can play like this at any time. It doesn't matter the context. It's just me hitting the ball. It's irrelevant what's going on outside of me. I'm hitting the ball. There's no difference. Still grass, a ball, me in a club. But so I would back up to say, as part of the tip, it would be bigger than a tip. I would highly recommend you do some mental imagery exercises at night and in the morning, and especially driving to the golf course. That's why audio programs are good, so you can get in the right state, that see you performing the way you want in stressful situations in advance.
You know, when I play in some tournaments and what have you, I will, I mean, like if it's a really big event, let's say a club championship or something that I really want to do well in, the night before I will go ahead and visualize the entire 18 holes in my mind as far as playing through that. And then one of my instructors says that one of the great drills is to then go out to the range. If you have enough time ahead of time and it's a major event, you go out to the range and you hit the driver, visualize where that's going to be, know where your next shot is, and pull that iron out of the bag and hit that, and if it's a chip onto the green. So you're actually playing the 18, you visualize it, and then you're playing the 18 holes. Now, obviously, that's very time-consuming, but for major events that you really want to score well on or really want to play at your highest performance, you know, you can get a pretty good sense that at least you know, if you don't hit quite as your mind visualizing on one hole, the next hole starts over and maybe you can play that as well as you wanted to. Does that make sense to you, Wade?
Absolutely. And when I'm working with private clients, that's part of, depending how serious they are, the process is the pre-round preparation. That is like, I'm just a huge believer in preparation. If you're prepared mentally and emotionally, not only physically, then the scenarios that rise around you don't shock you. But the typical reason that people go under stress is that they get into an environment they're not used to. So we've all heard the term that if you knock on the door enough times, eventually you'll win. Well, most people need to knock a lot. In other words, they'll get into a context where they're just not comfortable. They haven't rehearsed it. There's nothing about the environment that looks or sounds or feels anything like playing with their friends on Sunday. So they get overwhelmed. Their brain's going 90. They didn't anticipate their heart rate going up. So they're basically at a disadvantage from someone who has rehearsed the experience in advance. Like you so perfectly put, Mike, on the driving range in advance, you're already rehearsing the reality of the game as opposed to bashing balls at a driving range, changing, and then going to a golf course. You've turned it into a link and a bridge between the driving range and the course, and that's brilliant.
Yeah, good. Any questions from you guys for Wade? Nope, they're just hanging out.
Yeah, we're just chilling. I can, if you have a comment, I can make a comment though on what we were saying earlier about the tendency, and I found it fascinating because in my line of work and where I came from, working with people in all different walks of life, CEOs to other sports psychologists to athletes, the principle is the same. How do we get our mind and body aligned with what we know we're capable of when we need it? That's really essentially it. Right. Whether it's a sales presentation or like I was saying earlier, asking for a date, if the message we're sending ourselves in that moment isn't in alignment with what we know is so about ourselves, our ability to perform is hampered massively. And that's really the issue. Guys will hit 500 balls a day. They've been playing for 15 years, and then they'll get out into the moment where, oh, I have a chance to win. And all of a sudden, the story changes because that story has never been told in the way it's showing up around them. You follow me?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like when the story changes to match your inner story, like say Tiger, I'll give an extreme example because everyone can relate to it. He has this internal story that can't understand losing. Like it's the other way around. He's not worried about winning, which most people are. His whole driver is the scenery should be victories all the time, and when it's not, he's frustrated. So it's a completely different paradigm than someone who's just trying to get a win. You follow me? So,
well, to your point, it's the way I when we play quota games, in quota, if you have a quota event, you get so many points for a bogey, so many points for a par, et cetera, depending on if it's 36-point or a 54-point quota. But anyway, long story short is that I seem to find myself on that kind of event format scoring a lot better than any other event, because what I have to do is I have to go after birdies.
Yes.
I end up being very frustrated if I don't get the 4 points or whatever number it is in the quota game for the birdie, and yet at the end of the time, you end up with a really good score, because if you're going for birdies, you're going to probably make a lot of pars versus, and that's at my handicap level. So if you're a little higher handicap in a teen level, then you might be going for pars all the time when you don't normally think about going for pars, but to score well, you want to do that. And it's that same mindset that you're talking about. You just get frustrated because you aren't scoring at the very lowest level. But, but on the other hand, when you add it all up at the end of the day, it ends up, generally speaking, a better score than if you're trying to pay attention to that.
Isn't that true? I mean, it's actually profound. The subtleties in our inner world, when they shift just a bit, the difference to your performance is unbelievable. And most people think it's such a long, drawn-out process. And I guess traditionally, depending how it's taught, it can be. Yet it's not necessary, because we know when we feel naturally good. We know when that moment is. It's not a miracle. I know I can find that place immediately. Like right now, I can see blue sky, green trees. I instantly get a feeling that washes over me of comfort and peace. So if I'm stressed, I turn to the trees and I look up and I see the blue, and instantly I smile. Little things that put me in a place that remind me of excellence, whatever that is to me, right? It's simple, but it's more organic. But anyways, it's fascinating, and I'm thrilled in this particular endeavor, and it's fun even having a conversation like this with this technology. It's kind of interesting.
Well, golf is supposed to be enjoyed. It looks like Anna has something she wants to talk about.
Right, sorry.
I have another point of view to this getting ready to the game on a golf course and everything, which is it's funny in a way, because I have been always a big fan of the Tiger Woods golf video games. And so I have played most of the courses in the US, especially, I know, anyone with the Xbox will know that the, good grief, just forgot the name, TPC at Sawgrass, because that's where the Q school is, right?
Yeah. Okay.
And then I got a chance to travel to the States, and I got to play 2 courses. I got to play 2 courses in Florida. I got to play Doral.
Yeah,
I got to play the Blue Monster. And I got to play TPC at Sawgrass, the Players Stadium.
Those are good tracks.
And for instance, Doral, at the time my handicap was about around 13, 14. And Doral, I played from the ladies' back tee. I played 89 gross.
Good.
But 1 week after, when I played the TPC at Sawgrass, it was three guys and me, and they have this 4 caddy. I don't know if you've played there, but it's also opulent. My God, they have like tight laces on the range, and they say, okay, there is a sort of pyramid of balls, and they are not range balls. They are real tight laced, whatever, the tough balls. Yeah. And they just said, okay, no, just grab them, put them in your bag.
You thought you were stealing.
So I have the whole year's worth of balls here. Actually, I have a photo album on my Google Plus photo albums page, and I pasted you the link, which is a sort of quick story of my TPC at Sawgrass experience with alligators and stuff, which was interesting for a Finn. Anyway, so I played 11 holes from the white, which is the men's tee, and 7 holes from the ladies' tee, and I came back with 87 gross.
Oh, good. Wonderful. And that was through...
And actually, I made... And you know why I played so well these 2 courses? Because I had played the Xbox Tiger Woods
Exactly.
game. I
That's right.
even remembered how the greens were sloping from the game. And this is true.
It's very powerful. You're saying a very accurate point of how when we even rehearse it through mental imagery, where we're actually seeing imagery of shots. I can say that years ago there was Microsoft used to have a thing called Links. It was an online, not online, just like a DVD you put in, sort of like an Xbox thing, but it's a golf game for your computer. And the graphics were like second to none. They were superior in graphics to, say, an Xbox. They were so refined, and it was difficult to play, but you could see the shot shape. And I'm a lefty, so I was always frustrated. They wouldn't put left-handed golfers in these games. So I gave them up. I said, okay, forget it. So I really don't play them anymore. But the point is true that when I was visualizing a lot and going to bed visualizing and golfing, my scores continually improved because I saw success, and because I'm naive that way, I'll just constantly see my best shots. I won't keep rehearsing the one that was the disaster.
Right.
I don't do that. So, because why? That's not going to bring me any joy. It's going to make me think I need to hit 500 balls a day, which I can never do. I don't have the time. So I need to have a different strategy, and that is that I'm the best player that's ever lived, even if I'm not, so that I see good shots all the time and I go out and perform at the level that I want.
I'll just do a quick. I'll do a quick screen share.
Cool, man. You're high tech right out, aren't you?
Let me see if I can.
I think you're playing Xbox with one hand.
Yana, can I go ahead and ask Wade something?
Yeah, go ahead, Jay.
So Wade, as golfers and athletes, we're all very competitive. So how much of like your performance is like? So like last week, he needed a win to keep his card, right? So if he lost, he was off. So he had a high motivation to win last week. You know, and all those good golfers, you know, win $1 million, win a trophy, win the #1 ranking, that type of deal. How much does that, as opposed to me just going out and hacking around with some friends, where there's really nothing on the stakes? How much does that factor into the overall performance?
Well, for some people, the increased stakes go hand in hand with lowered performance because it inhibits their ability to even perform. They're so stuck on what they think they need to do to win that they're in their own way all day. So then conversely, there are those who, like Sam Snead, if there's not something on the line, he won't even play. Like, it has to be competitive. It has to be intense. So I think people first have to explore how they feel. Go out and play competitively and find out how you respond. If you like it, if you feel like, okay, well, that's a strategy that naturally works for me, then I don't have to change as much. Some people, most people, the more they get around pressure and winning and the thought of winning, it's typical that they don't perform as well, typically. Now, that's just because they're putting so much demands on their performance because it matters so much. And to me here, before, Yana, you get into the screenshot, is when you want it to matter, and this is the fine line of excellence. You want it to matter. Okay, so I'm hitting balls and practicing. I want to get good. Obviously, it matters, and I'm entering tournaments. Clearly, it matters, or I wouldn't be there. So yet we can't have it matter so much that we can't perform. So we almost have to walk the middle ground of the teeter-totter where it doesn't matter at all, and it's just another round of golf. Like if you were alone. You know, when you're alone, most of us hit career shots that no one sees, of course.
Exactly.
And then,
yes.
you know,
That's so true.
Yeah. So it's really finding the balance between the excitement level, which is useful for me. I like the intensity of competition, which gets me, what's the word? It's not agitated is close, but it's not an uncomfortable agitation. It's agitated in the sense that I'm excited and I want to perform, and it gets my attention. Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's right. But it's for me that works. For others, that's not useful. It'll get them rattled and off their game. Other people like the Ernie Els, they just want to be, you know, just calm the whole way. But some people like Tiger, you can tell he likes getting stoked. When he's amped, he performs better. So when he's not, he's, you know, you watch him, he's a little more lethargic. When he's amped, he's a better player. Everyone's got their own, so it's a long-winded response, but you have to find out your nature. Just listen to yourself. Your body doesn't lie. It'll tell you exactly how you feel. Right?
True. True. I really do agree with that one.
So your
Okay,
screenshot. Sorry to cut you off there.
you got a screenshot?
Oh, you want that? Okay. So this is from when I was.
Oh, there it
So
is.
now
Okay.
you can
Oh,
like
look at the pictures
box
too.
it.
Nice.
Just click it, and blue box it on the
That's
big
cool.
screen. Whoever is organizing this thing.
Oh, awesome.
Anyway, so there you can see some of the images, and there was a long par 5 which I freaking birdied.
This is live. We're not editing.
I actually
Nope.
shot my second shot over the green,
Oh my!
over the back bunker, and just to that narrow strip of green before the water. And then I lobbed it back, and
Amazing.
just 20-centimeter putt, and that was it. And
Almost like a
birdie.
video game,
And
huh,
all
Yana?
those guys, they hated me when we finished the rounds because I beat them all.
But you know, there's something interesting there. Just think about the passion she just shared in the excitement of every aspect of the shot. That's what we are like as golfers. We can remember every detail of our excellence, and unfortunately, we're that vivid on when things don't work well. Many people, especially if they're in a heightened situation and a chance to win, and say hit the shot they didn't want to hit, which is usually their dreaded shot, because that's what comes out under pressure. The most rehearsed failure is what presents itself under stress. Then they can continue to replay that, beat more balls, practice, maybe decompress over a month and enter another tournament. It still hasn't left them, because the reality of physically entering another tournament has been a month. It might have gone away in between, but now there's a real tournament again. Now they're in the moment, and that's why it shows up again, why people will continue not to perform well. Again, it's back to what the outset of this call. They've rehearsed failure. It's not that they want to fail, but their unconscious program is saying that this is what I believe is so in this environment. This is what I will produce, because we will always do what's the most intense emotionally under stress. In other words, if I'm in a stressful situation, what we usually do is speed our routine up because our mind's going faster. We just want to get it over with because we can't sustain the stress that's in our bodies. Our nerves are peaking, and we break our routine because it's so uncomfortable. We just want to dissipate the buildup of nervous energy. So that's why routines are so important. And you see, is there any pro that you know that doesn't have a good pre-shot routine? Virtually none. I mean, virtually all of them have a really well dialed in pre-shot routine. That's one of the best ways, with some processes that I teach around getting into peak state, is one of the best ways to deal with nerves and pressure.
Wade, I'm going to be mindful of the time because I know people aren't going to want to watch us like forever as much as we'd like hanging out. Tell the guys, whoever might be watching this, where they might be able to find more information about what you do. What's a good website to go to?
Well, there's two. I'll give you the simplest one. It's wholemindgolf.com.
Okay.
And you can contact, either you, Mike, or Jay, and just keep reading the newsletters, because there's usually links in my articles that lead to my website and my content. So you can learn plenty more at wholemindgolf.com, and Golf Mental Game Coach is another. That's a little more. There's lots more articles on that one. It's golfmentalgamecoach.com, but there's hyphens between them all, so it's a bit of a headache.
A little more challenging.
But yeah, Whole Mind Golf is the easy one.
And I'm going to pop up on the website for anybody that's not there. This is
Great.
This is the site, fitnessforgolf.com. I don't know if you've seen our new site, but it is pretty cool for anybody that's out there. And we've got all kinds of strategies and the blog. So do you feel the pressure? This is Wade's most recent article that's already posted up there, and things like that. So you can go catch our articles. You can sign up to get the newsletter on a regular basis, what have you. So that's what we're about, and fitnessforgolf.com. And any final comments from anybody before we bring this to a wrap?
Well, it has been really fun, and just one thing what Wade was saying about, remembering and rehearsing the bad shots all over and over again, and that is really important. You really should forget the bad shots and just remember the good ones.
That's right, the joy. You're right.
Yeah, like it happened with me on the 17th on the TPC at Sawgrass, the island hole.
Yeah,
I,
exactly.
I put my first one in the water.
You're not the only one.
The third, 1 meter from the pin, and I made a bogey.
Oh, there you go. That's the way to do it. Good for you. Well, thank you all for being on the call. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm sure we'll have you back. Jay's trying to do these once a week, so we'll have different guest speakers from time to time, and look forward to having you all join us then.
Great, thank you. Enjoy.
Thank you. It was really great Thank you for having me.
You betcha. Thanks.
Thank
Bye
you,
now.
Anna.
Bye.
See you later,
well.
Wade.
Yeah, play well.
Bye, guys.
Okay.